Hey everyone! Something absolutely massive is unfolding in the crypto world right now, and you're going to want to hear this. So get this, 11 XRP ETF products just officially showed up on the DTCC website. Yeah, you heard that right, 11. CoinTelegraph picked up on this story, and they're literally asking the question we're all thinking. Is $5 XRP coming next? I'm going to show you their exact post in just a minute, so stick around for that. But wait, there's more. A senior Bloomberg ETF analyst just dropped some serious news. He's saying we might actually see the very first XRP spot ETF launch in the United States today. Now, before you get too excited, let me give you the full picture here. Just so we're all on the same page, when I say today, I'm talking about Wednesday, November 12th, 2025. Here's the thing though. Pretty much everyone else in the industry is saying this launch is almost definitely happening tomorrow, November 13th, instead. So why is this Bloomberg analyst saying today? Well, I'm going to break that down for you. There's also this company making some pretty bold claims about already launching the first XRP spot ETF in America. Spoiler alert, that's not actually true. But there's a really interesting reason why they're saying that. Trust me, there's a lot more to this story than meets the eye. Here's what I'm confident about, though. I'm putting my money on tomorrow, November 13th, as the day we finally get that first ever XRP spot ETF in the United States. It's practically a done deal at this point. Let me show you this headline that's been making waves. It's from Yahoo Finance, originally shared by CoinGape. Scoop: Canary XRP ETF gets approval with 8 a filing to list on NASDAQ. Now, if you've been following along with my content, and hopefully you have been, you probably already know that Canary made a really smart strategic move. They went ahead and changed their SEC filing to remove something called the delaying amendment. This happened on October 24th, and here's why that's such a big deal. When you remove that delaying amendment, it basically starts a 20-day countdown timer. Once those 20 days are up, boom, their XRP ETF can automatically go live without needing any additional approval. And guess what? Tomorrow, November 13th, marks exactly 20 days since they made that move. I've been calling this for weeks now. Barring some major surprise like a government shutdown, this thing is going live tomorrow. The only other scenario would be if the SEC actually steps in and stops it. But let's be real here. We've got a pro-crypto SEC administration now, so the chances of them blocking this, I'd say pretty much zero. Let me read you exactly what this report says. Canary XRP ETF gets automatic approval for NASDAQ listing as the issuer submitted an 8A filing with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. The spot XRP ETF is expected to start trading later this week. So here's the timeline. Canary filed their Form 8A with the SEC on November 10th. This is literally the final step before launch. The spot XRP ETF is now what they call auto-effective, which means it's ready to start trading this week. They're just waiting on some final paperwork details for the exact trading date. And here's something really important to understand. Canary deserves serious credit here. They were the absolute first to remove that delaying amendment back on October 24th. That's exactly why they're positioned to be the first mover in the US XRP ETF space. Sure, other firms have followed their lead since then. I've covered those stories too. But here's the thing about that 20-day timer. It's set in stone. Unless the SEC decides to fast-track approvals for some of the other companies, Canary's going to be first to market. Even if the SEC does approve some of these other ETFs before their 20-day timers run out, Canary could still have a week or two head start on the competition. And in the ETF world, being first to market is absolutely huge. They played this perfectly, and now they're about to reap the rewards. This is exactly the kind of strategic thinking that separates the winners from everyone else in this space. Canary saw the opportunity, and they took it. All right, let's dive deeper into what this filing actually reveals. According to the latest documents, NASDAQ has officially approved listing Canary's XRP ETF shares on the exchange. And get this, they've got their ticker symbol locked in, XRPC. Pretty clean, right? The The filing references their registration statement on Form S-1 that was submitted to the SEC on October 24, 2025. Remember that date. It's crucial to this whole timeline. Their investment objective is straightforward: provide exposure to XRP. Simple, but incredibly powerful. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Experts like Nate Carrick are calling this XRP ETF launch a massive victory for Ripple against what he calls previous anti-crypto regulators. And honestly, he's absolutely right. This isn't just a win for XRP holders or the broader crypto community, though it definitely is that. This is specifically huge for Ripple as a company. Think about it this way. When the SEC sued Ripple nearly 5 years ago, they were basically trying to destroy the entire XRP ecosystem. Ripple ended up spending, a couple $100 million fighting that lawsuit? So yeah, seeing an XRP ETF get approved is definitely a big vindication moment for them. But here's where things get really spicy. Canary Capital's CEO Stephen McClurg just made this bold prediction, and I'm quoting him directly here. XRP ETF will probably double what Solana did in its first week. Now, that's not just some random hype statement. If you've been paying attention to XRP-related investment products over the past year, they've consistently blown past expectations. Whether we're talking about leveraged XRP products, futures, you name it, they've all massively outperformed what anyone thought was realistic. And this spot ETF, this is the holy grail we've all been waiting for. Here's why this matters so much, and this is the key point everyone needs to understand. When someone buys shares of this ETF, the company managing that ETF has to go out and purchase actual XRP to back those shares, real XRP, sitting in their vault. That's what makes this such a game changer for supply and demand dynamics. Every dollar that flows into this ETF translates to actual buying pressure on XRP itself. Sure, we'll see some short-term impact, but what really gets me excited is thinking about what this means over years and decades. We could be talking about an absolutely unfathomable amount of money flowing into XRP through this channel. McClurg is making this prediction because, as he points out, the demand for XRP is already crystal clear when you look at market cap and trading volumes. But that's not the only reason he's bullish. Check out this quote from Hunter Horsley, the CEO of Bitwise. He said, "An XRP ETF would be a huge product. And get this, he's pointing to $100 trillion in assets currently sitting on traditional finance rails that will eventually flow into crypto." His take? The first exposure most people will have to crypto will be through ETFs, and he believes demand for XRP ETFs will be extremely high. And you know what? I'm completely on board with that narrative. Everything we've seen with XRP investment vehicles shows there's this incredible organic demand just waiting to be tapped. This spot ETF isn't going to be any different. It's just going to be the biggest and most important one yet. Now here's that CoinTelegraph headline I mentioned earlier. Take a look at this. 11 XRP ETF products now appear on DTCC website. Analysts say end of US shutdown could open ETF.
Floodgates for XRP. $5 next? They're literally asking if we're about to see XRP hit $5. And honestly, when you consider the potential money flows we're talking about here, that kind of price action isn't as crazy as it might sound. Now, let me be completely honest with you about this $5 speculation. Am I expecting this ETF launch to rocket XRP up there in just a day or two? Honestly, I'm a little skeptical of that happening so quickly. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely believe this ETF approval is going to matter big time for XRP, and I think it's going to have a real impact. Here's my take on the bigger picture. We're definitely not in a bear market right now. I'm pretty confident we're going to see a full-blown alt season, and XRP is absolutely going to be a major part of that. So when people speculate about $5, $10, or even $15 XRP, I don't think that's wacky at all. In fact, it would be weird if we didn't get some kind of massive alt season run. But here's the thing. I think we're going to see that kind of action regardless of this ETF. This approval is more like throwing gasoline on a fire that's already building. It's fuel for the rocket, if you will. Now, could I be wrong? Could this be the exact catalyst that ignites the final leg up for XRP? Maybe. I'll give you that it's not crazy speculation, but I just don't think we're in the right environment for that to happen super quickly. We're not quite in alt season mode yet, and that's usually when these explosive moves really take off. Look, I'm not denying that major news can cause serious market movement. We've all seen that happen. I just think the timing needs to be right for those fireworks to really go off. But enough about price speculation. Let me show you something really cool. Look at all these ticker symbols appearing on the DTCC website. This is absolutely beautiful to see. And for those who might not know, the DTCC, that's the Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation, is basically the backbone of the entire US financial system. Think of it as where Wall Street's plumbing lives. This is the organization that handles clearing, which is the messaging part of transactions, and settlement, which is the actual movement of value and record-keeping for most stocks and ETFs. When an ETF shows up on the DTCC's website, which is exactly what we're seeing here in this CoinTelegraph screenshot, it means the infrastructure to clear and settle trades for that fund is officially in place. The fund is now prepped inside the same system used by every major ETF in the entire country. This is why people get so excited about this step. It means traditional finance is completely ready for institutions to handle XRP-based ETFs just like any other mainstream financial product. This isn't some experimental crypto thing anymore. This is Wall Street-level infrastructure we're talking about. Now, let me share something interesting from Eric Balciunas. This guy is
Huge in the crypto world, with 375,000 followers, and he got famous for his incredible coverage leading up to the launch of the first ever spot Bitcoin ETFs. He's Bloomberg's senior ETF analyst, so this is legacy media talking here. He posted, "Canary filed 8A for XRP ETF last night, which points to launch tomorrow or Thursday. Today is holiday. Thursday was the day we thought they'd be on track for, but when they did the 8A for another ETF, they launched the next day." He ended that post with, "Not done deal, but all boxes being checked. Stay tuned." Now, here's something important to clarify. Balciunas posted that yesterday. So when he said today, he was actually referring to what is now yesterday, which means he was suggesting this XRP ETF could potentially go live today, Wednesday, November 12th, 2025. But I already knew that wasn't going to happen. I was completely confident about this because, remember, that delaying amendment was removed on October 24th, which started the 20-day countdown. That timer doesn't hit zero until tomorrow, the 13th, which means it literally cannot launch before then. I think Eric just wasn't aware of that specific timeline. Fortunately, Eleanor Terrett cleared this whole thing up perfectly. For those who don't know, she's formerly with Fox Business, now with Crypto in America, and she's absolutely on top of these regulatory details. Here's what she wrote. "Canary Funds has filed its Form 8A. This is the final step before it goes effective at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time Wednesday, once NASDAQ certifies the listing. When that happens, the last hurdle is cleared, and the first XRP spot ETF will be set to launch Thursday at market open." Ah, now it all makes sense. They filed that 8A so it would go effective by the end of today, ensuring all the paperwork, literally everything they could possibly need to do, gets wrapped up by close of business today, Wednesday, November 12th. That way, when tomorrow rolls around, November 13th, they can start trading immediately at market open. It's actually brilliant timing when you think about it. They're making sure all their ducks are in a row tonight so there are no delays tomorrow morning. But wait, here's where things get a little spicy. RecShares jumped into the conversation claiming they're actually the first XRP ETF to launch. And technically, they do have a point, sort of. There was this headline back on October 26th. Rex Osprey XRP ETF surpasses $100 million in assets under management. So clearly, they've got a successful product that's already been running. I've actually covered this product before on my channel, so let me break down what's really going on here. Rex's ETF is partially backed by XRP, but it's not a full-on spot XRP ETF in the traditional sense that everyone's been waiting for. After Rex claimed to be the actual first, Eleanor Terrett pushed back with some crucial details. She explained, the RexShares XRPR ETF came first under the Investment Company Act of 1940, with partial spot XRP exposure and less efficient tax treatment. But Canary is set to launch the first pure-play 1933 Act XRP ETF with 100% XRP, nothing else. And that's the key distinction right there. Rex wants to say they were first, but their product was filed under a completely different regulatory framework. And it's not 100% backed by XRP. It's only partially backed. When people in the crypto world talk about ETFs, especially when we're talking about the holy grail moment everyone's been waiting for, we're talking about funds that are fully backed by the actual asset. These hybrid products where it's only partially backed, that's not really what the market has been anticipating. Look, Rex can keep shouting about being first all they want, but that type of product just isn't what people mean when they talk about the first true spot crypto ETF. The first real one? I'd personally argue that's going to be Canary Funds tomorrow. Eleanor Terrett explained it perfectly. She said Rex was the first of their type, and Canary will be the first of this other type. And frankly, Canary's approach is the one that actually matters most. That's the product everyone's been waiting for. Here's another perspective that really puts this moment in context. Nate Gerich, who's the president of Novadius Wealth, formerly known as the ETF Store, posted something last night that just blew my mind. He wrote, just over 1 year ago, SEC was appealing court decision that XRP did not meet legal definition of a security. On Thursday, looks like first 33 Act Spot XRP ETF will launch. Hard to describe crypto regulatory shift over past year. Night and day. And you know what? That's because elections have consequences, my friend. Since the administration changed, this is the reality we're living in now. And if you're in crypto, you absolutely love to see it. It really is kind of surreal when you think about it. I've been running this channel for years, covering every single piece of news, every little development in that SEC versus Ripple lawsuit. I read, and I'm no lawyer, I just played one on YouTube, right? But I literally read every single document that was filed in that case and covered it extensively on this channel. Let me tell you, it was mind-numbing and actually incredibly difficult because I don't have a legal background. Trying to figure out all that legal jargon and regulatory complexity was genuinely hard work. Thankfully, we had brilliant people like John Deaton and Attorney Hogan and others in the XRP community helping add clarity. And I tried to spread their insights on my channel so we could all make sense of what was happening together as a community. But after living through that absolute hellscape for years, and I mean years of uncertainty, FUD, regulatory attacks, I've got to say it's pretty surreal to see where we are now. XRP hanging out consistently in that $2 to $3 range with full legal clarity.
Fundamentals stronger than they've ever been in XRP's entire history. And tomorrow, we're almost certainly going to see the first ever spot XRP ETF go live in the United States. It's just wild, man. Having been through all of this, having held XRP for almost exactly 8 years myself, it's absolutely freaking wild to see how far we've come.